Hey gang, Joyce with Skipping Calves Farms. I got my sheep back on the property yesterday and the temperature dropped from 70 to 30 something and we got rain in the middle of the night. And the sheep didn't get here until just about sunset. So they've got their winter coats on and it didn't rain real hard. And they're pretty much dry now and they were okay this morning. But that's not going to do going forward in case we have a more severe weather. So I had not really planned on how I was going to winterize my sheepfold before, because I still need to have it so it's mobile. One of the advantages of having it mobile is if for example, here's the sheepfold, and if I just move it over one spot, from here to over by that small tree, and move it back and forth every now and again, it throws predators off, because it's no longer a standing structure. I know with the chicken tractor, I have very few predator issues, virtually none, as long as I move that chicken tractor about once a week. I like to move it about twice a week now, because it keeps the ground inside. Heads up, I'm going to toss I've got some sticks here I need to throw. There we go, got a pile of sticks over there. I'll use those for my biochar fires. But in the meantime, it's out from underfoot. So I just distracted myself again and lost my train of thought, but excuse me. So I moved the chicken tractor about twice a week. It keeps them on cleaner ground, and 3 or 4 days is about the minimum for most parasites to go from, as I understand it, to go from egg to larvae. So I just kind of like to keep the chickens moving, and it's better for the ground, it's better for the birds. And twice a week is really not that much of a chore. So it's kind of a nice balance all the way around. Moving them every day was a bit of a chore. And as you can see, I've kept them in the bottom part of the paddock this fall. And the grass down there that did not grow this year was regular grass. The only thing that grew were water grasses or bulrushes, because we had such a wet spring. So it's easy to move the chicken tractor. Now if you look through here, some of this, some of these seed stalks on these grass plants come up to my waist. And some of the fescue is 12, 14, 18 inches tall. I would literally have to weed eat in front of the chicken tractor to move it out here on this paddock, with the grasses I have now. Didn't used to be quite that bad, but it is now. So for the most part, I'll probably keep the chicken tractor down there. And my experience this summer was the chickens will come up and they like to wander around behind the sheep because they know where the bugs are. So, but that really isn't the point of this video. As I started out, I only had a 24-hour notice or so that I was going to be getting the sheep this past weekend. And So really didn't have time to do as much prep as I would have liked. And we were enjoying 70-degree weather, and I didn't realize that the cold weather was moving in quite as quickly as it did. So this morning, this is what I've done. If you've seen some of the other videos, you can see the two roofing panels have been up. They haven't moved in months. These two side panels are a couple pieces of sheet metal that I had loose. In fact, the short piece, if you saw the video that I used, that I shot when I offloaded the Jeep, that short panel is the panel that I used to block off by the side of the Jeep. It's just what I had. I had some scrap 2x4s, and I decided that that's what I was going to do, because put the panel on the outside, then there's nothing for the sheep. You know, the sheep can still rub against the panel, but with the 2x4s there, it kind of protects them, the panels and the sheep. And the idea is to protect them against wind. Well, I've only got the two panels because I need to always have one or two gates open. So that's why I went with the short panel and a little bit longer panel. To be perfectly square with you, that was the sizes that they were, and it's working out just perfect. Because this panel is not so big, doesn't go but just barely across past the middle, and I have it going about 6 inches past the other panel on the other side. That way, when the sheep do move up against it, it's going to run back and forth, and it'll rub against this panel. Will rub against this like that. If they were lined up pretty much kind of a straight corner, this panel might get caught on the other one and bend, or vice versa. So this way, let's see if I can show you. Let me get up under here. So this way, the idea is you can see where it's already scratched a little bit. So if I move this panel, which the sheep are likely to do because they're going to rub up against it, it's shorter, and it's just going to do this. It's just going to rub up against that panel. It's not going to get caught on it and tear either one of them up. So that was the idea. I had some small boards that were already pre-drilled and pre-cut. And you look at that and you go, oh my goodness, what was that? That was the vertical end piece for a bottom board for a custom designed hive that I did. So this was, the little notches on the top and bottom would be openings for the hive. So that particular bottom I could put in a hive that I had a design with a groove vertically in the middle, so I could turn it into 2 mating nukes. And one hive would have the opening at the top, and the other hive would have the opening on the other side. So that's what that design came from. I'm not planning on building any hives anytime soon. It was a couple 4 pieces that I already had cut. So I wanted to try and keep it light and simple. So if you can see, I just pre-drilled that and put a 1-inch deck screw in there. So it's on there pretty snug. I probably am not going to be moving these a lot. If I find that I'm moving it more than I think, I'll probably swap out this screw for a longer screw. But I really want it on there snug. And so all I really have to do to loosen it up is just have a Phillips head screwdriver with me. Loosen it a turn or two, and then this will just loosen up and pivot over. In the meantime, I also kind of like the way the spacing worked out. So this is kind of sitting up against an upright, which is vertical on the inside. And because it's just with the single screw, it is going to keep it from twisting on both of those. That's why I have them sitting kind of the way they're sitting. So this is next to the wood, and that's going to keep it from twisting. It's also up at the top. This is above the sheep's back, so they're not going to be able to rub against that. You can see they're going to rub a lot lower. You can see over here where they rubbed up against the sheepfold before. So I'm just going to be pre-drilling the pivot board and attach it. I may need to slide this long one a couple of inches one way or the other, because I want to try and get this pretty much like that. So that would work on that side, and then I can do the same thing on this side. But I may move it a couple of inches this way. It's kind of hard to see from the perspective I was at before, but basically I'm just gonna pre-drill a hole, put the screw in there, screw that down tight, and I'm done. And if you'll notice, right behind me, that is my perimeter fence. Let's see if you can get a better perspective here. That's the perimeter fence. So it's only a couple of feet, maybe 2.5 feet from the perimeter fence. So I was able to just pick it up at one end and lift it up high enough so that the piece of metal just slid on the piece of metal. The wood only extends down an inch or two, and I wanted that way. I wanted to have a little bit of an air gap because I don't want it to create a vacuum or suction kind of a situation where it's likely to create lift or damage if there's a pretty decent wind coming through. It's kind of like the idea of if there's a storm coming through, you open the windows on the downstream side kind of a thing to keep them from breaking. So those are my thought processes. This is what it looks like from the first piece that's done. Now, one other thing that I will do, I'm going to double check the weather. These two horizontal panels that I used as roofing, they just have a simple bolt and wood pivot on the top and bottom, so they attach to that top bar. It's got a washer and a lock washer and a nut on it, and I've discovered that the way I have that set up really works well. This worked well for months and months last summer. Look who's heard me talking. They just want a handout. They want something. They didn't want to eat. They wanted to come and they're used to getting fed grain is what it is when they were over at Papa Kent's. They forget that Mama Joyce doesn't feed them grain. I may have to a little bit, but it's not my goal. That'll be based upon, it's going to be basically how daughter 2471, how she's doing in her third trimester, and how my grass is holding up. 'Cause you're a little piggy. Yeah, you're a little piggy. But So basically, if we get some more rain coming through, I can just take this panel on this corner and set it across on the inside here, so they'll have kind of put it over the top of the other one, and they'll tile over each other, and then that way they'll be out of the wind and out of the rain. And I can basically do that with what I've already got. And so with that, gang, these hoodlums, you guys are a mess. You're supposed to be out eating. You're supposed to be out eating. So I'm gonna, it's actually getting cold and my hands are getting cold. It's probably in the 40s now, low 40s. And we've lost our son. And here's the main reason why we've lost our son. When you see things that look like a pencil line, and you see other things that look like cotton candy, the pencil line is fresh and the cotton candy is old, but they came from the same place. So this is old pencil line stuff. And it always shows up around times when we're supposed to have rain. Isn't it amazing? It's just a coincidence. So, do you have anything else you want to say, daughter? No? Anything else you want to say? Look at Mom. You're sitting there trying to scratch your backside up against the gate, and it's not solid now. So she's going over there to the T-post. Should get a much better scratch there. Mama knows the importance of creature comforts. Don't you, Mama? Look at that droopy-eared thing. She's a mess. They were just out. Well, daughter is still chewing her cud, but they were both down there chewing their cud a few minutes ago. Well, with that, gang, I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to get back to work while Mama's dancing. And we will wish you blessings for the day, and whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream.